The worst kept secret in anime has finally been revealed. My name's James Graham. I'm joined by Dylan Beal. This is the Class 1A podcast where we talk about everything My Hero Academia. Obviously, the big discussion this week's episode is going to be our boy Dabi, aka Toya. But we're just gonna have a quick chat about kind of the episode overall, and then we're gonna get right into it. So, Dylan, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about the
It's
reveal?
it's so good. I remember it was like beginning of not beginning. It was like mid 2020. I think it was November 2020 is as manga readers we got this revealed to us. It blew me away then, and like it's still even knowing the information, it blew me away just seeing it animated. I love it. Perfect episode.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's something that's like it's almost very obvious, but at the same time, the delivery really just it makes it totally fine. Like you're so okay with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they again in animation as well as in the manga they delivered perfectly. So what I'm going to do basically is have a quick recap of the video or the episode, and then Dylan and I are going to basically discuss some broader points across the episode. It's heavily going to be focused on Dabi, shocker, right? But let's get right into it. So we start with revealing actually that Best Jeanist is alive and like mostly well. He's recovering, but he's still alive and kicking. We switch over to the fight on the ground, and we find out that AFO is more or less entirely controlling Shigaraki's body, basically just acting in full defense mode, keeping his body alive. We cut to a 1v1 between Ochako and Toga, where Ochako's really just trying to wrap the things up quick and get back to basically helping the broader fight. But Toga wants to talk feels and Deku, so she really keeps her locked in this 1v1. Toga also reveals that because she cares or feels so emotionally about some people and using their blood, she can actually activate their quirks as well. We saw this a little while ago where she was fighting some of the members of the former Paranormal Liberation Front, where she actually uses Ochako's quirk plus in having like kind of her face used. But this is kind of we get this reveal basically in verbatim kind of thing. She also reveals that her and Ochako are simping for the same man. Ochako doesn't like that too much, but thankfully Froppy breaks that up the fight between the two, and Toga basically takes off, having kind of revealed something that's very like near and dear to her. We cut back to the main fight with Hato and Shoto basically holding up Shigaraki while everybody else is kind of beaten and battered. But then Makia arrives as well alongside of the League of Villains. This is where we get the big reveal. Dabi finally reveals to both Endeavor and the world that he is in fact Toya, that the charred body of the former Todoroki's son was actually recovered and taken and fostered into basically Dabi. We also find out why Dabi's jaw is so messed up because that's really all they left. Now we don't know if that was somebody else or it was actually Dabi's jaw, but just to kind of digress, like this is very much Dabi in the flesh. He has the paternity test. He lets the world know. He televises it across both all of Japan and the internet. And we even get a nice little callback to the Look Boy, who actually I think he gets called directly the Look Boy in the episode, which is kind of funny. And he tries to expose Endeavor and Hawks for all their wrongdoings. How Endeavor is, this dishonorable, selfish human who basically uses his children for his own ends, and how could you really look up to this person? As well as Hawks, who they got the tapes, they got him on footage of him axing twice. So he tries to basically shake humanity's faith in heroes this way. We end the episode with Dabi activating his own prominence burst, something that he wanted to learn as a child. But he's intervened by Best Jeanist in these massive metal threads. That is what I'm going to call them. They're wires, but we know Best Jeanist can manipulate almost anything. So, and that kind of wraps up the episode there. So, it was a lot. It was a lot of lore dump, but delivered very, very well and very dramatically, which I think is great. We do want to talk about Toga's interaction with Ochako briefly. We kind of want to just touch on that and kind of go through that. So, Dylan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this because I think it's a little bit interesting because for them it's a very like metaphorical, like it's very symbolic, right? Because they are really counters to each other and they're really mirrors because they both have these problems with feelings, right? That's their conflict, is the way that they feel about certain people. Obviously they both like Deku, but like the way that they express their feelings is very different. And for both of them, they learn to suppress those feelings. For Uraraka, because she wants to be a hero, because Deku is on his own path, she wants to suppress those feelings. and instead just like charge forward and kind of ignore them. While on the other hand, Toga has come to the realization she needs to stop repressing those feelings and instead let them all out. Now, letting the feelings out is completely different for both of them. For Toga, that is like being a murderer and killing people and drinking their blood. For, Uraka, that's probably, being like, hey, Deku, I like you. Totally different.
Yeah.
But still, like, they both are going through this theme of, like, suppressing these feelings. So I think it's interesting, but obviously it is very tangential and very sidetracked by the giant thing that happened in this episode. So I at least want to make sure that we talked about it because I feel like if we're ever going to get a conclusion or we're going to go anywhere with Deku and Uraraka being like a couple or any sort of romantic thing happening there, this is going to be the path to do it. Which, do we like the fact that her main storyline revolves entirely around liking Deku? No, we don't. But it is what it is, and I think we need to at least like talk about like what's going on with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, like it seems like a lot of times the Chaco's been kind of boiled down to, oh, like how I feel about Deku, and like my entire plot kind of revolves around that. And we have like a 1v1 that's basically boiled down to that too, which is kind of a sin. But yeah, I think this is to move it forward and along. We do need like interactions like this to kind of happen. But I mean, we get a nice little like couple like I wouldn't call them super moves, but like you again we get to see that Ochako, like when she fights, is always kind of like thinking a couple steps ahead because she has to with her work. With seeing her use like free satellite and stuff like that, super cool, really nice, and especially in like close quarters, it's nice to see her have some battle prowess. Where I know that's always been kind of the emphasis between her. It sucks because it feels like Ochako's like a bit of a shallow character that way, where it's like I need to hone my martial prowess in like hand-to-hand combat and Deku, and that's like.
Now, I want to bring up a segment that we've been bringing up lately that I really like is how would we rewrite the story? Because I actually have a really good idea for it. Here's my based version, right? My based version of what actually happens is very early on, a couple seasons ago, where Araka's like, I don't know what I should do with these feelings, and like her entire storyline is revolved around Deku. She suppresses them, and then like that's kind of where we lead to now. Instead, what I think should happen there is she just goes for it. She just immediately goes for it and kind of like makes it not a big deal that they're a couple, right? And then you have this interesting dynamic of where she's ultra confident. She approaches Deku. She's ultra confident in the fact that she likes him. And while Deku has like the literal power upper hand in a relationship of being like the chosen one, the strongest person in existence, she has like very much the stable like, oh yeah, I'm dating Deku. It's whatever. And then she can kind of focus on what does it mean to be a hero for myself, and what can I do to be a hero, and how can I hone my craft. And like the relationship is almost sidelined because it's not even a big deal. It's like, oh yeah, of course they're together. It's not that big of a deal. I think that'd be really cool because it gets us the fact of like clearly they like each other and they admire each other a lot, while like not making her entire storyline just about liking Deku.
And that's just it. Like I don't like that she's been boiled down to that. So if you address that seasons ago and then it was out of the then you just have another character you can develop without having like it's just like a bonus thing that you can like throw in for like a bit of fan service to who like to like ship people and stuff like that, right? Other than that, then it's done. Then it's done and over with. But that being said, though, like unfortunately, Chaco's also gonna get sidelined here because we gotta talk about.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
The man showed up receipts. He came with the receipts, put everybody on blast. Not only Endeavor, but was like, "Yo, my man Hawks too. His dad's a serial killer. How crazy is that?"
Got him on tape, dude. Like that scene where it just like cuts to him just like stabbing twice in the back, like literal backstab, literal back. Like it's just. Oh God, yeah. The man came to collect.
Well, one thing I did want to talk about that was pointed out to me recently is Horikoshi is really big on perspective, and perspective being like not only literal different like views of the same scene, but like views from different lenses. So a really good one was during the Twice fight when Hawks first shows up and he's in the doorway. He's silhouetted and he looks evil, and he's holding Dabi down he's holding Twice down. With all his feathers, but we actually get another like scene that is the opposite view and is from Hawks' view, and he's like almost crying because he's like, please, I want to take you alive. And it's like these two different things, and I think we see that with this scene too, of where Hawks very reluctantly has to kill him. He doesn't want to kill Twice, but he knows everything is over if he doesn't kill twice. While we get this other shot of him literally stabbing him in the back, and he looks like the villain here. So I love the way that Horikoshi paints these different perspectives, like both metaphorically and literally different perspectives.
Yeah, and I think he does a really good job of using that two characters' advantage with their various motivations, right? And it was like, especially what they did with Dabi here, it just works to his advantage so well. Paints Hawks as even like as this absolute just backstabbing hero, right? So I think that's really impressive that he can keep doing that. It's hilarious. We like rag on Horikoshi for how poorly he writes women, but then we're like, but perspective, man, does that guy do that well?
Horikoshi has some real high highs and real low lows as an author for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of a sin that way. But with the whole reveal, I think, is something that we really need to talk about, and the manner that he delivered it, like even verbally, the like this like. You can tell it was something that was clearly like boiling up at him, and he just wanted to get out. And when he does get out, he's excited. He's like, the whole episode is called Dabi's Dance, right? And he's literally dancing while he's delivering this, right? And it's beautifully like animated too, like with him just kind of like dancing around on Maki's back and stuff like that. And I'm glad they addressed the fact that Dabi even really kind of calls out Endeavor, and he's like, Did you not put one and one together? You know what I mean? Like, yes, flame quirks are like abundant, but like, come on, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so cool that we just get like, he just like dumps the anti-dye. I don't know what. I don't think it's just water. I think it's like some sort of solution, but like washes it out and just becomes all white. Like, he looks so incredibly sick. Honestly, just keep giving the villains white hair. Just all the villains get white hair from now on.
Yeah, because it works for all of them, man.
Yeah,
they all look sick. So yeah, and then like on top of that, really getting not only the perspective from Dabi revealing this, but also Endeavor, like, and how he felt about Toya initially. You know what I mean? Realizing that like his firepower far surpasses his raw talent, surpassed his. He could be his like kind of vessel to surpass All Might, right? And kind of just pouring all your attention into this one thing, and then the prominence burst. I think that was pretty friggin' sick.
Yeah, that was a really, really good way to wrap up that scene. Obviously, getting stopped by Best Jeanist, incredible. We love him, but yeah, the whole scene was incredible. The thing that really got me, I think, was the voice acting. I think that really elevated it. The one scene is where it's showing Dabi and he's going off, and he jumps down and he's screaming, and the scream is incredibly well done, and it's cutting back and forth between him and Endeavor, and Endeavor's like having a literal like panic attack, and you could hear like the voice actor, his breathing like slowly getting like more like heavier and heavier and quicker, and like blew me away, absolutely blew me away, because like I felt like Endeavor actually was freaking out at that point. Like it was literally revealed to him that his like son that he thought was dead for so long is still alive, and like one of the world's greatest villains about to kill him. Like, it felt like he actually felt that at that moment.
And I think that's a really hard thing to do for a lot of voice actors, to really capture that degree of emotion is incredibly difficult. Even like Shoto's voice actor, when he's trying to like snap Endeavor out of it, you could feel so much raw emotion in this scene between these voice actors. And I'm actually a little worried for the dub, and to see if they can capture that as well, because that is going to be like really tough to follow up.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly tough. The dub cast is really, really good, but yeah, I'm also excited to see if they're able to really capture that.
Yeah, because I mean, like, hats off to the entire voice acting team that kind of pulled this scene together. You did briefly touch on them though. Go.
Before we jump into that, I wanted to say, we say this is a meme a lot, but Keeping Up with the Todorokis has finally come to a pinnacle, right? This is at least like, if season 1 was a little bit boring of Keeping Up with the Todorokis, season 2 has a really big moment, right?
Yeah. Like I don't think this is the finale, cause I don't think, not yet, but we are. Yeah, I think we've reached the peak of how crazy it can get.
Yeah,
it's like it'll take a lot to top this, I think, but this is probably one of our best ongoing segments. It's just keeping up with this whole family.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I do want to circle back to Best Jeanist being back in action. It's great that we
Yes.
kind of we get him, showing up right at the beginning of the episode. And I remember reading this in the manga because like you and I do like to do a lot of callbacks to when we first read it. But just having this scene initially of the cables and then him talking to the pilot, I don't actually think it showed him in the manga that first interaction, but then you just get him flying out of the sky with all these cables and him manipulating it, and you're like, holy shit, like the man is back.
Yeah, and I think we really need Best Jeanist here as like the one hope for the heroes, not only to like literally save the situation, but also like Dobby just like BTFOs like Endeavor, like in Hawks incredibly hard. But the one line of where he was like Hawks killed Best Jeanist,
Yep.
and then the fact that Best Jeanist just like flies out, it puts a little bit of doubt now into what Dobby is doing. I think the heroes really need that because otherwise the image is completely shattered at this moment. But
Yeah.
that's like the one little saving hope here. And Best Genius rocks. He's so incredibly cool. He just like pops down. He does his hair. It like I love the fact that he is a gag character. He's like he starts out as a gag. He's clad in the Canadian tuxedo, right? And
Damn
like
it, dude.
and he just shows up, but he's cool and he's one
Yeah.
of the best heroes too. And I love the fact that they're leaning into like, oh yeah, he can manipulate any thread. We mean
Oh.
literally any thread.
Yeah, like massive cables, but because they're in like a thread like way to like he can manipulate them, and it's sick. It really takes this really simple idea, and we've done this so many times, being like really cool simple idea for a quirk, but holy fuck, let's make it insane, and that's Best Genius to a T. I think
Hmm.
is anything that's like that, almost like rope light says substance. It's his now, right? So, and the timing really couldn't be better because yeah, this is really, which is like, okay, maybe Dobby's just a bit of a lunatic. You know what I mean? Maybe some of this other stuff is right, but Best Genius is still alive and kicking. So we'll see.
Yeah, I also think it is pretty interesting about Hawks. Like the fact that his father was a serial killer. Like it really makes you think though, of like what is going on with Hero Society that like people would cast Hawks aside if that information came out, right? Um, because like I don't know, we read that and we're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal because we know he's such a big hero. So like, what's the big deal there?
Yeah.
But yeah, Best Genius rocks. He's so cool.
I think it's a big thing of like potentially like hero lineages and stuff like that, where really like the generations have to be like, oh, I don't want to say like pure, but like you do have to have like a good track record of like your family's kind of all been heroes sort of thing, and this is what you guys do. So yeah, to have that blemish as like you're the father, he was a serial killer, and now you're just, well, you just asked the guy. There's photo evidence of that, right? Maybe you're not the best hero either. So it is really going to be interesting to see what kind of repercussions that has.
Also, what a sus line from Mr. Compress. What did he mean when he was like, "Oh, you come from an interesting lineage too"? Like,
Yeah, just chuck that in there, dude.
yeah,
Like,
it's like is he AFO's kid? Is that like the next line of that is like, "Hey, I'm Mr. Compress. Actually, I'm Mr. AFO Junior."
and unfortunately, all I have is a metal arm, and like I can like make people tiny. Like,
I love my Magic Man though.
I know, he is like a really like good side character. I'm interested to see, because like anytime these side characters get attention, like you and I love to fixate on it.
Yeah.
We love side characters, so I'm hoping that whatever we get out of Mr. Compress, it's a nice little addition to his character. Very briefly before we get into the Plus Ultra Awards, I do want to talk about the next episode previews, because I think we got a real big drop from that.
Yeah, yeah. Huge line. Huge little line from Deku there.
Yeah, the hero name reveal of Bakugo, which historically has absolutely struggled with. Man just wants to be like an absolute like run-on sentence of a name. So I'm really looking forward to whatever we get out of that. I think it's gonna be insane.
Yeah. I am hoping for something cool. I am expecting something incredibly lame.
Yeah,
Because that is Bakugo, but like that's him. That's him.
That's him.
That's
That's
that,
him.
That is him. We need the like XX Sniper 360 a Doom Lord XX.
This guy that definitely took you out in like Call of Duty lobbies, and he is just like on a messed up mic screaming at you.
Yeah, only plays search and destroy.
Yeah. Oh my god. It was a noob tube player back in the day.
Absolutely.
But but yeah, we're gonna get into the Plus Ultra awards, where basically we reward a character within the episode of going Plus Ultra, going above and beyond. And we've covered heroes, we've covered villains, we've covered concepts, we've covered production. Anybody can get it. And Dylan, you're gonna start us off, man. Who gets it?
It's easy. I mean, we all know who's gonna get it.
I
It's
know,
gotta be Dabi. The man came with receipts. The man had Skeptic editing video while in the back of this giant monster. He uploads it to YouTube. Promises it's not clickbait. A big reveal here. Washes his hair out. All of his plans are almost perfect. I think this is maybe the best laid plan of all time. It rivals AFO's plans, which are like weirdly in depth. The only thing that kind of like threw him for a loop was best Jeanist, because he can't beat the Jeanist. He's the best. But otherwise, damn, he actually did for villains. Went plus ultra.
Absolutely. And I really gotta echo that statement, because for episodes we've been wondering what Dabi's scheme has been. And I think that's such a sign of a really good executed villain, is that you don't know what the fuck he's thinking. You know what I mean? So for us to it all kind of really come to a head and build up to this, and it be executed, like you said, near flawlessly, I think that's a sign of such a good character and such like a good moment for him. Plus the prominence burst and him mastering like his dad's ultimate move. Oh, dude, it just all really ties it together. But with that, that is going to be us. That's going to be all for us at Class 1A. Check us out on YouTube, Class 1A Pod. Actually, I can't even remember our fucking tagline at this point.
Just go on YouTube, search Class 1A, or we have a little new, like they introduced an @, system, so you can do @Class 1A on YouTube too. You can see us there, easy.
Yeah, we're also on Twitter at Class 1A Pod, and TikTok. Dylan gives nice little breakdowns of each episode. They're sick. They're really good. They're full of memes. Check them out. But that's going to be all for us this week. We will see you all next class.